I am an alpha CEO. My childhood sweetheart Fiancée is the wicked supporting actress. She has been hit with such a severe stupidity debuff that every time she tries to do something bad, she completely botches it. And it always backfires on her. Wait. Something's going on downstairs. She just pushed the female lead into the water. Enough talking. I need to hurry and clean up her mess. There was a party going on in the garden, but now everyone is crowded around the swimming pool. Before I squeezed my way in, I had already predicted the plot, but I only guessed the beginning, right? The female lead, Gu Pitaya, is indeed standing by the water, soaking wet. But the one crying her eyes out is my little childhood sweetheart. By Kiwano. She is wearing the custom water red dress I gave her yesterday. Drenched to the bone, pointing her finger at Gu Pitaya, her hair dripping wet. Who knows if it is tears or pool water? I really did not mean to push you. It was my hand. It has a mind of its own. It is like it was possessed. It was not me who wanted to push you. Do you believe me? By the end of her sentence, her voice was already breaking with sobs. I face-palmed, seeing her crying and begging others to believe her. It is just so hard to judge. If you call her fierce, she actually looks a bit pitiful. If you call her pitiful, she is like a tiny beast. Baring her fangs and claws, no one is going to believe her, including her squad of plastic besties. They were chiming in from the side. Why would our Miss Bai make things difficult for a lowly servant? Who do you think you are? You blocked Kiwano's way and you still are not apologizing. Do you know how much Kiwano's dress costs? Even if we sold you, you could not afford it. These are all stupid remarks from people who pretend to support her, but are actually secretly drawing hatred towards her. A bunch of useless bootlickers who do more harm than good. Kiwano actually knows that no one believes her, standing all alone in the crowd. She gives off a panicked vibe, acting tough to hide her inner fear. I casually grabbed a large clean bath towel, stepped forward to wrap her soaked body, handed her over to the head maid, and then walked up to Gu Pitaya. I'm sorry, Miss Gu, I did not expect such an accident to happen. How about this? You go change your clothes first, and I will formally apologize to you later. As an alpha CEO, the only way I know how to apologize is by throwing money at the problem. But I was met with Gu Pitaya's disdain. Does Mr. Fang Pomelo think that everything in this world can be solved with money? I may be poor, but I also have dignity. I do not want your money. I want Miss Bai to apologize to me personally. What a resounding reply. She truly is the female lead. I sheepishly put away my checkbook. Kiwano came downstairs. She had changed into a little black dress. Her slightly wavy hair draped over her shoulders. She immediately noticed Gu Pitaya's wet clothes and stammered, "You? Why have not you changed your clothes yet?" I wanted to ask that too. I clearly had the housekeeper bring her dry clothes, but Gu Pitaya haughtily refused them, insisting on waiting for Kiwano's apology. Otherwise, she would not change. A look of guilt swelled on Kiwano's little face. She opened her mouth. To you, is not money everything? Brother, Fang Pomelo is giving you money. Why won't you take it? She turned to look at me, her eyes filled with panic, but her mouth kept firing like a machine gun. Why are you pretending to be so noble? For a poor person like you, a month's salary is not even enough to buy one of my dresses. Or is it that you think the money is not enough, and you want to extort more from us? I facepalmed again. I could absolutely definitively assert that this was definitely not something the Kiwano I grew up with would say as a little princess spoiled since childhood. She has absolutely no concept of money. There is no way she would know how much Gu Pitaya makes in a month. The main issue right now is, not only is her little mouth blabbering non-stop, but she also picked up a glass of water. I do not even know how that glass of water appeared. The table was clearly empty a second ago, based on my experience. Her next move would be to splash the water on the female lead's face. Gu Pitaya furiously took a step forward. That distance, that stride. It was practically serving her face up to Kiwano on a silver platter. There was no time to lose. With lightning speed, I snatched the glass from Kiwano's hand and downed it in one gulp. Kiwano was dumbfounded. Her hand hovered in midair, still unconsciously making a splashing motion. Gu Pitaya also turned to look at me. I cough. The autumn air is dry, just wetting my throat. The two of them stared at me for a good while, then simultaneously turned their heads away.
Treating me like thin air?
Gu Pitaya wrung the water out of her clothes and proudly raised her chin. Miss Bai, it is fine if you do not apologize today. No worries. Given time, I will eventually have my day of justice. Wearing her dripping wet clothes, she walked to the door, then suddenly turned back, grabbed the prepared dry clothes from the housekeeper, and marched out with her head held high. Kiwano watched her back, foolishly conflicted. I wanted to apologize. Brother, Fang Pomelo, I really wanted to apologize. I do not know what is wrong with me. I can't control my mouth. Sob, sob, sob. I had no choice but to hug her and comfort her softly. Kiwano did not cry for long, suddenly lifting her head from my embrace. Her eyes popped with sparkling heart emojis. Do not you think? The way she walked out without looking back was so cool. I choked. What the feck is this stupidity debuff? It even messes with her sexual orientation. How am I supposed to tell her that Gu Pataya's threats are all real? That she will meet a tragic end, her family ruined and her life lost, cruelly tormented to death. Gu Pataya started showing up frequently in my life. Not only did she act as a temp server in my garden, she was also an intern at my company. I had just stepped out of the elevator. When I saw her being blocked outside my office, my assistant Hefig was politely asking her to leave, but she was very stubborn, insisting on seeing me in person to return my clothes. Assistant Hefig sighed helplessly. I can pass them on to him for you. But Gu Pataya disagreed. She did not trust anyone else handling it. Seeing me, Assistant Hefig quickly came to greet me. Gu Pataya also followed suit. Mr. Fang Pomelo, thank you for the clothes. I had Assistant Hefig take the clothes and nodded at her.
You are welcome.
I headed toward my office. Gu Pataya chased after me. Mr. Fang Pomelo, I heard your previous secretary resigned. I would like to recommend myself for the job. I stopped in my tracks and looked back at her. She had her hair up in a high ponytail, wearing a crisp white shirt and black slacks, with a serious and determined look on her face. This is my resume. Please take a look. Only then did I realize she was holding a file folder. Seeing that I did not reach for it, she bit her lip, lowered her head slightly. Please give me a chance. Mr. Fang Pomelo, I am not like Miss Bai, born with a silver spoon in her mouth. My family is poor. My mother has uremia and needs daily dialysis. I really need this job. Bowing her head to beg made her feel humiliated. When she raised her head, there were tears in her eyes that she was forcing back. I knew what she said was true. I also knew that her mother was actually my savior. When I was kidnapped by thugs as a child, her mother happened to walk by and secretly called the police to provide clues, which allowed me to be rescued in time. Her mom did not have a cell phone and used an old public payphone on the street, so my parents never found her in the end. After I awakened to the plot, I secretly donated a massive sum of money to her, but because the source was unknown, she rejected it. Actually, right now, I'm also trying to find a kidney match for her mother, but I can't reveal any of this to her. The system warned me that revealing the plot would trigger uncontrollable, massive disasters. I had no choice but to tell her. The company has a policy. If an employee has family difficulties, they can request a salary advance. Your family situation is special. I can tell the finance department to let you take out more. Gu Pataya shook her head. That is just a drop in the bucket, not a long-term solution. Mr. Fang Pomelo, I'm begging you to at least look at my resume. I'm not asking you to hire me on the spot, but please at least give me a chance. If Kiwano's debuff was being dumbed down, then the female lead's buff was definitely stubbornness. I finally gave in and had Assistant Hefig take her resume. Gu Pataya really was outstanding. Her education, her skills were all top tier. Even Assistant Hefig recommended her to me. I think Miss Gu is more than capable of handling the secretary role. However, the problem was never Gu Pataya herself. I took some time to go up to the rooftop and called Kiwano. The sound on her end was echoey. She was probably in the recording studio. She studies composition, loves writing her own songs, and singing them to herself. But lately, the style of the songs she writes has been incredibly brain dead. I suspect that if she ever awakens own day, she will be pissed to death by these trashy pop songs she wrote. I told her about Gu Pataya's situation over the phone. Oh my god, she is so pitiful. How much money does her mom need for treatment? I have it. I will pay for it. There is no need for that. I stated the facts. Miss Gu would not accept it. I could almost picture Gu Pataya's humiliated face as she threw the money right back at her. Kiwano sighed in frustration.
Sigh.
I really want to apologize to her, but whenever I'm in front of her, I can't speak like a normal human. You said she wants to be your secretary. That is great.
You absolutely have to give her a high salary, okay?
I looked up, gazing at the drifting clouds in the sky, my voice filled with melancholy. Kiwano, have you ever worried that one day I might be stolen away by someone else? She laughed uncontrollably on the other end of the line. Then I will definitely buy 100 strings of firecrackers to celebrate you successfully marrying out and congratulate myself for finally getting rid of a nag like you. She simply did not believe I would ever change my heart. The year I was kidnapped, I had just turned 7 because the psychological trauma was too great. I could not go to school and had to take a year off at home. Back then, even the slightest noise would scare me into hiding under the bed. Holding my head and trembling, I would go into stress-induced catatonia if any adult approached me. Regardless of gender, the own who abducted me was a nanny hired by my family. She personally led me outside, and handed me over to those vicious men. I was locked in the back of a small cargo truck with a rag stuffed in my mouth. If I made even the slightest sound, they would punch and kick me. By the time I was rescued, my young body had a broken rib, a shattered nasal bone, and bruises all over.
Lee.
Even after returning home, I did not dare make a sound. Only when I was beside my parents did I feel safe until Onday. My mom brought an auntie and a little girl to our house. I hid on the second floor, peeking at them secretly through the railing. The little girl ran up the stairs, came right up to me, and held out a hand she had been hiding behind her back. In her palm lay a translucent, round jade pendant shaped like a gourd. My grandma gave this to me. She went somewhere very far away, and it will be a long, long time before I can see her again. She said, "This little gourd can keep me safe and ensure I never meet bad people." I have never met any bad people, but your mommy said you met some very bad people. So I'm lending this little gourd to you to protect you so you never meet bad people again. She solemnly bent over and helped me place the little gourd around my neck. She was wearing a white tulle princess dress with naturally curly hair and a tiny face as delicate as a little princess in an oil painting. She held out her pinky finger. "When you grow up, you have to give the little gourd back to me, okay? Pinky swear. It is a promise. Whoever breaks it is a puppy dog." Her serious look as she pinky swore was so adorable. Her smile was like a bright little sun. I foolishly reached out my hand and intertwined my pinky with hers. Only later did I find out her name was Bai Kiwano. The psychologist suggested that I needed more interaction with kids my age, preferably a cheerful, lively little girl. And Kiwano was the most adorable and lovable little girl in my mother's social circle, only one year younger than me. At first, her parents were not willing. After all, she was also a little princess raised with endless doting. There was no need for her to act as an emotional support crutch for someone else's kid. But when my mother went to their house to plead with them, Kiwano overheard. She volunteered herself, offering to come take care of this poor, pitiful older brother. Later, I was held back a grade, which perfectly put me in the same class as Kiwano. We went through primary school together, to middle school, and then studying abroad together. We kept each other company and cheered each other on beneath the foreign starry skies. We shared our first kiss in the freezing air of Mount Kilimanjaro. At parties abroad, we intertwined our fingers tightly, refusing to participate in any partner-swapping games, thus being mocked by the locals for being outdated and conservative. After returning home, our families threw a grand engagement ceremony for us. As I slipped the engagement ring onto her finger, I whispered a deep confession in her ear. "You are the light and warmth of my life, everything I seek, and the peace in my heart. I love you, Kiwano." So, how could Kiwano ever believe that one day I would betray her, that I would loathe her, that I would watch helplessly as her family was ruined, and she died a tragic death, because by that time, I would supposedly only have eyes and heart for Gyu Pattaya. I would supposedly love the female lead, loving her to the point of madness. Like a lunatic, like a demon. I do not know when it started, but a small table appeared on the company rooftop, draped in a simple plastic tablecloth. It even had a narrow-necked vase placed on it. The items were not expensive. They looked exactly like cheap goods from a street-side dollar store. The flowers in the vase were replaced daily without fail. Roses, Chinese roses, poppies, baby's breath, even white chrysanthemums. The flowers were never very fresh, looking almost as if they were picked from the trash. I wondered who had such refined tastes, actually sharing this secret garden with me across space and time. One morning, I was having a brief meeting with a few shareholders, needing some fresh air midway. I headed up to the rooftop. Gyu Pattaya was sitting by the table, a coffee in one hand, a laptop under the other, with her head down, working overtime. So she was the one who set up the little table. This scene definitely was not in the original plot. She noticed me too, and after a moment of surprise, she smiled at me. "Mr. Fang, Pomelo likes to come here alone as well." She looked up at the sky, exhaling a faint puff of white breath. "It is a nice place. As soon as you look up, you can see the sky. You can temporarily pretend to be free from gravity's hold." I gave a slight nod, planning to leave, secretly sighing. Looks like this rooftop won't be a place I can visit anymore. Gyu Pattaya's phone rang. By the time she finished her call, I had already reached the stairwell. She rushed after me, her expression panicked. "Mr. Fang, Pomelo, my mother fainted. A passerby helped call an ambulance. Could I please take the afternoon off?" I maintained my deadpan CEO face, while my brain cells went into overdrive. According to the original plot, I was supposed to volunteer to accompany her to the hospital, but the prerequisite for that was that her resilience and optimism had subconsciously piqued my interest. In other words, I was starting to fall for her. The heavens are my witness. Right now, I have not entertained a single improper thought about her ever since she became my secretary. I have been mindful of every word and cautious with every action. I have strictly maintained a purely professional attitude, just to eradicate any soil where romance could bloom. She is asking for a leave of absence. Logically, I just need to approve it. But now I know her mother is my savior. My benefactor is in trouble, hovering between life and death, and just to avoid suspicion. Am I supposed to close my eyes and play deaf and dumb? Is that appropriate? I was utterly torn, screaming internally in endless circles. Fuck. Being a CEO in a female-oriented novel is way too hard. I can't clear my conscience without betraying the plot. Since ancient times, duty and emotions have always clashed. Ultimately, I still accompanied her to the hospital. The ambulance wailed all the way, speeding wildly into the hospital's emergency lane. The doors swung open. The stretcher was carried down. Her mother lay on the stretcher, wearing a respirator, her skin ashen and unconscious. The ambulance doctor raced against the clock to brief the situation. She went into cardiac arrest. We just administered epinephrine and used the defibrillator. We barely managed to resuscitate her. She has not woken up yet, and there is a risk of another cardiac arrest. He shoved a stack of medical records to the receiving doctor. The records showed the patient was in stage 5 chronic kidney disease. It was likely that kidney failure had induced malignant arrhythmia. Thank goodness. Her family made a little cloth pouch for her to carry her medical records with her. Otherwise, we would not have been able to contact her family in time. The female lead truly was a strong and smart girl. She held her mother's hand, running alongside the hospital bed. The doctor requested an immediate transfer to the nephrology department for hemodialysis. Gupataya was completely out of her wits at this moment, nodding desperately. I stopped her, turned around, and asked the doctor, "Doctor, given the patient's condition, would not it be safer to do the dialysis in the ICU?" The doctor glanced at me, probably curious about my identity. Of course, the patient's condition is complex, with severe internal environment imbalance. If she goes into cardiac arrest again, the nephrology department might not be able to handle it in time. The ICU has more emergency measures available. The doctor paused. However, the ICU is also much more expensive. Gupataya's mother was wearing a sanitation worker's uniform, and Gupataya herself dressed very simply. Her white shirt and dress pants looked like they cost no more than 300 yuan altogether. If we were following the original plot, I would buy her a full set of haute couture workwear, even including an evening gown for a banquet. And this gown would be the one Kiwano originally had her eye on. When the two unexpectedly met at the banquet, Kiwano would fly into a humiliating rage, splash wine all over her, and demand she strip it off in public. At that moment, I would make a shining, heroic entrance, pull Gupataya into my arms, and furiously scold Kiwano. Yet now, I had not interfered with Gupataya's wardrobe at all. So the doctor, judging by their attire, considerately gave advice that suited their financial situation. I made the final call. Let us go to the ICU. Money is not an issue. Gupataya hesitated for a second, then nodded in agreement. I waited outside the ICU. Gupataya disappeared for a while. When she reappeared, she brought me a cup of coffee. I just went down to prepay the fees. Thank you, Mr. Feng Pomelo. It is the least I could do, just lifting a finger. I tried my best to downplay it, changing the subject. As for work, you do not need to worry. I will have assistant He-Fig cover for you. Also, if you urgently need money, you can ask finance for an advance, or borrow from He-Fig. Gupataya briefly looked away from the ICU doors and gave me a slight smile. Mr. Feng Pomelo is quite generous with assistant He-Fig's money. Fuck. I only thought about clearing my own name, but did not realize how bizarre that sounded. We stopped chatting. After a long while, the ICU doctor finally walked out looking exhausted. He told us that there were several emergencies requiring resuscitation during the dialysis. Fortunately, we chose the ICU. Had she stayed in the nephrology department, she probably would not have made it. Now Mother Gu had woken up. Her condition was temporarily stable, and we could go in to visit her. Gupataya wept tears of joy and rushed inside. I was just planning to slip away quietly when the doctor called out to me. "You are the patient's son-in-law, right? Come here. There is a situation I want to discuss with you first." My heart skipped a beat. I did not correct him and followed him to his office. The patient has reached a critical stage, inducing multiple complications. If your financial situation allows, I highly recommend a transplant surgery. Kiwano also found out about Gupataya's family situation. I originally wanted to hide it from her, but when I stood her up for the third time, the little princess blew her top. I had no choice but to spill the beans. She did not dare to come herself. Afraid she would act up the moment she saw Gupataya, she just urged me over the phone that if the money was not enough, she could pay for it. I had to make sure Mother Gu got the best treatment. She even told me to lend a little gourd jade pendant to Mother Gu so her grandma could bless this innocent auntie too. I could not bear to part with it. The little gourd hung against my chest, its warm, smooth touch constantly reminding me that Kiwano is a living, breathing person. She is absolutely not that faceless, absurdly behaving, wicked supporting actress from the book. I was scared. Scared that I would be brainwashed by the plot. Scared that I would forget my Kiwano is such a cute and kind-hearted girl. But Kiwano is really being incredibly silly right now. She actually never suspected why I was putting so much effort into deeply involving myself in an ordinary employee's life. Lately, I would been running to the Gyu family's place every day, mainly to do ideological work on them. Despite all my sweet talking and reasoning, talking until my mouth went dry, even Gu Pattaya had agreed to temporarily use my money to get the kidney transplant done, but Mother Gu stubbornly refused even upon pain of death. With her ironclad backbone, she said, "If it is not our family's money, I won't touch a single cent. I have had this stubborn temper my whole life. When your father divorced me because of this, I never regretted it. Now, even if I die, I won't break my principles." Rumor had it that Mother Gu originally worked in a state-owned enterprise because she was too noble and aloof. She was ostracized and resigned out of resentment. I did not expect that as she grew older. This temper only grew spicier with time and even more unyielding. No wonder in the original novel, when the female lead misunderstood the male lead, she stubbornly refused to listen to any explanations, playing an endless game of cat and mouse, dragging it out for a full 100 chapters. What is this? This is genetic inheritance. Today I came again, carrying a fruit basket. Walking to the entrance of their neighborhood, I saw Gu Pattaya sitting with her mother on a bench. Their backs were to me, chatting. Gu Pattaya was persuading her mom to do the surgery. I stopped in my tracks, wanting to hear what Mother Gu was telling her daughter. Pattaya, tell me honestly, is that boss of yours wooing you? Otherwise, why is he so invested in our family's affairs? Gu Pattaya was silent for a moment, then said softly, "Mom, do not talk nonsense. Mr. Fang Pomelo has a fiancé." Mother Gu seemed a little disappointed. "Oh, then I really can't figure it out. Why is he being so good to you?" "That is just because Mr. Fang Pomelo is a good person and is considerate of his employees." Mother Gu scoffed. "Your mother has worked in big corporations too. What have not I seen? He is this thoughtful and considerate to every single employee. I do not buy it." She paused, then suddenly asked, "He is not trying to make you his mistress, is he?" I jumped in fright, not because of Mother Gu's words, but because a head suddenly popped up from the flower bushes, looking super sneaky, imitating a Western outlaw, wearing an eye mask covering the top half of her face, that tiny face, that slightly wavy hair. If this was not Kiwano, I would write my surname, Fang, upside down. Did she think that as long as she wore an eye mask, she would not have a freak-out episode in front of the female lead? Could this stupidity debuff be any more ridiculous? I really wanted to cover my face with the fruit basket and pretend I did not know her. Just as I was about to go up and grab Kiwano, she already leaped out from the garden. "What nonsense are you sprouting? Brother Fang Pomelo would never like this. Ugly, troublemaking, poor girl. If you two were not throwing yourselves at him because he is rich, shamelessly offering yourselves, he would not even bother giving you a second glance, wanting to be Brother Fang Pomelo's mistress. Take a look in the mirror and see if you even have the assets for it. Poverty breeds evil intentions. Yet you deliberately put on this noble and pure act. Who are you trying to fool, a dog?" Gu Pattaya stood up, her face flushed beet red. "Miss Bai, are you going to shut up or not?" Kiwano tilted her little face up, looking immensely smug. "I won't shut up. What can you do to me? You are rotten to the core, and your mother is the same." Crap. I threw the fruit basket aside and was about to rush forward. Slap. A crisp sound echoed. Kiwano clutched her little face, staring at Gu Pattaya in sheer disbelief. "You hit me. You actually dared to hit me? This plotline feels awfully familiar. The next step should be Kiwano throwing herself at me. Brother Fang Pomelo, this bad woman hit me. You have to avenge me." I hurriedly caught her, but before I had time to comfort her, she forcefully twisted away, breaking free from my embrace, with a look of absolute disbelief, pointing at me heartbrokenly. "Brother Fang Pomelo, you actually helped her instead of me. Why? You have changed. You actually fell in love with this poor girl. You are abandoning me for someone else. I hate her to death. I swear I will snatch you back." She covered her face and ran away, sobbing loudly. She kicked over the fruit basket, sending fruits rolling everywhere. I stood frozen in place, feeling like thunder had struck my head. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? I clearly had not done anything at all. How did this plot self-correct and return to its original tracks? After a moment, Gu Pattaya went to pick up the fruit basket and put the scattered fruits back inside. Mother Gu slowly walked over, looking at me with a very disapproving expression. "Mr. Fang Pomelo, this fiancé of yours is incredibly arrogant, overbearing, and superficial. She does not respect people at all. She does not deserve you. Gu Pattaya tugged at her sleeve. Mom,
Stop talking.
then she turned back to look at me. In her glistening eyes seemed to hide many unspeakable things. Her stare gave me the creeps. She finally said softly, Mr. Fang Pomelo, are not you going to chase after Miss Bay? This is a misunderstanding. Just explain it clearly to her, and it will be fine. I foolishly nodded and turned around to chase Kiwano. From behind came Mother Gu's lowered voice. She was asking her daughter, Pattaya, tell me honestly, have you fallen for this man? I tripped over my own feet and almost face-planted into the gutter. It is a mess. It is a total mess. Kiwano ran home and declared to her parents that she wanted to break off our engagement because I had fallen for someone else. Her parents barged into our house, demanding an explanation from their mouths. My mom found out about Gu Pattaya, this homewrecker. What could she do? As a wealthy future mother-in-law who was a hardcore Kiwano fangirl, of course she would bring her checkbook and march haughtily over to negotiate with Gu Pattaya. I got the location of their meeting out of them and rushed over there without stopping. The plot had already reached the part where my mom arrogantly tossed the check. Then Gu Pattaya would tear up the check and accuse my mother of not treating poor people like human beings and disrespecting human dignity. The two sides would trade barbs, spit flying everywhere. I burst into the private room, only to find my mom sitting there alone. I searched the floor for a long time, but did not find any check scraps. My mom was sipping her tea and casually said to me, Son, your taste in women is getting worse and worse. To actually do it for such a shallow woman and give up Kiwano, Gu Pattaya actually took the check. The plot was not supposed to go like this. What the hell went wrong? I asked my mom, how much did you give her? My mom waved her hand breezily, just 100 million. I quickly grabbed the doorframe for support. I remember the original plot was 5 million. Has inflation gotten this severe nowadays? I struggled to tell my mom, Mom, the company just made a few investments last month and paid out employee salaries. We only have a few tens of millions left on the books right now. If you write such a massive check, how is the bank going to cash it for you? My mom looked surprised. Is not 100 million supposed to be pocket change? We actually do not have it. I'm sorry. Mom, I have brought shame to the CEO community. Time was running out. I could not explain it to her anymore. If Gu Pattaya went to the bank and the staff took ON look, oh ho, someone issued a bounce check. They would report it to the central bank immediately. According to Article 31 of the Implementation Measures for the Administration of Negotiable Instruments, there is a 5% fine on the face value of the check. That would be 5 million. My heart was bleeding. I turned around and sprinted out. My mom screamed at the top of her lungs behind me.
Fang Pomelo.
If you dare chase after that woman today, I will disown you. I dashed out of the tea house like my feet were on fire. I immediately spotted Gu Pattaya. She was standing casually under a large tree. She was waiting for me. She handed the troublemaking check back to me and looked at me with eyes full of pity. If you have time, take your auntie to the psychiatric department to get checked out. Medical technology is advanced nowadays, and you're not short on money. Do not hide your illness for fear of treatment, and delay the opportunity for a cure. I was extremely ashamed. I forgot. The stupidity debuff was not exclusive to Kiwano alone. Any villain who was in the same faction as her would all act like they were hexed, behaving childishly, with touchingly low IQs. 9. I had just dealt with my mom during the day, and at night Kiwano stealthily called me, Brother, Fang Pomelo, did Auntie Gu agree to do the surgery? My brain crashed a little.
Sigh.
You are so dumb.
Auntie Gu said she would not accept other people's money for no reason, but if you become her son-in-law, then you guys are family, and then you can openly pay for her medical treatment. My brain continued to crash. You have to seize this opportunity. Do not let my excellent acting today go to waste. So, that whole scene today was purely her acting. What can I say? What else could I possibly say? Why do not you all just gang up on me and kill me already? From now on, please call me Fang. Oscar. God of acting. Man of 1,000 faces. Chameleon. Pomelo. Just as the original plot developed, Gu Pattaya and I were now pretending to be a loving couple. Mother Gu finally agreed to have the surgery, but she had own request. Before entering the operating room, she wanted to see Gu Pattaya and me hold our wedding with her own eyes. Gu Pattaya and I discussed it and planned to have a simple Western-style wedding. The guest list was very simple, just Gu Pattaya, me and Mother Gu, plus a small band and an officiant. I went to the restroom and saw a sneaky figure, Kiwano. She had hired a makeup artist and rented a wedding dress, asking me to bring them to Gu Pattaya. I hugged her tightly, resting my chin on top of her wavy hair, planting kiss after kiss on it. My adorable, kind-hearted, quirky Kiwano. If she is debuffed with stupidity, so be it. It did not matter. I love her. At exactly 9 of the clock, under Mother Gu's tearfully joyful gaze, Gu Pitaya and I exchanged rings. The wedding march was solemn and dignified. The officiant was enthusiastically doing his best, and the hired extras pretended to be moved. Everything looked quite convincing. Suddenly, with a loud bang, the hotel doors were forcefully pushed open. Having already developed PTSD from the plot armor, I shuddered in fright. What is going on now? My long unseen parents walked in with a brisk stride. What were they doing here, crashing the wedding? I hastily jogged over to greet them. Dad, Mom, today is my wedding day. Whatever it is, let us talk about it when we get back. Okay. My dad laughed heartily, and my mom beamed with joy. In-law, we finally found you. So the person who saved Pomelo's life all those years ago
was you?
Back then, you disappeared right after calling the police. For so many years, we have been looking for you. I did not expect that heaven would reward the faithful, and that we would find you after searching far and wide. This overdue thanks should have been said a long time ago. The heavens have eyes to let us become a family. Rest assured, we definitely won't mistreat our daughter-in-law. If little Pomelo dares to wrong little Pitaya, we will be the first to object. A long-standing question had found its answer, and a long-held wish of many years was finally fulfilled. My parents smiled like two idiots. Mother Gu also did not expect that even though my parents are arrogant, rich people, they actually have a conscience and know how to repay a debt of gratitude. Both sides acted like they had discovered a new continent, linking arms and chatting happily. The photographer took a family portrait for us. Everyone had bright smiles on their faces. I tried my best to relax my stiff body, my eyes subconsciously sweeping the surroundings. By the railing on the second floor, there was a figure hiding behind the curtains. Kiwano. The white curtains almost swallowed her entire silhouette, only revealing a small face that blended seamlessly with the white fabric. I had never seen on her face such a heavy sense of desolation. Gu Pitaya stood beside me. Her eyes kept resting on her mother. She kept a smile on her lips and softly said to me, Mr. Feng Pomelo, I was thinking, once my mother's surgery is successful, we do not necessarily have to dissolve our marriage immediately. I turned to look at her. Her entire face was full of vitality, filled with the joy of a new beginning. She said, give me a chance. Let me pursue you. Okay.
You have got to be kidding me.
Turning a fake relationship into reality. Marriage first, love later. This is completely different from what I had in mind. I averted my eyes, looking at that small face with downcast eyes on the second floor. The jade gourd pendant hanging on my chest emitted a scorching heat. I looked down and saw that the jade gourd seemed as if it was about to melt, slowly shrinking. My heart panicked as if thousands of ants were gnawing at it, like a wooden beam about to collapse under a raging fire. Miki Wano. Will I eventually forget her? Will it eventually be just like the original book? Walking down the exact same path, where she turns evil and meets a tragic end, while I head over heels fall in love with Gu Pitaya and walk towards a happy life. No, things did not have to be this way. My life should be governed by my own choices. This ridiculous farce must stop, but the world suddenly came to a halt at that very moment. My mom still had an excited smile on her face. Mother Gu was frozen in the gesture of holding a telephone receiver, recounting the past story of bravely calling the police. Yet, all around was dead silent.
Set 58 CB8.
Yet, all around was dead silent. Yet, all around was dead silent. 400-518-81 meted 8. Yet, all around was dead silent. Yet, all around was dead silent. 15 second to U8M. Yet, all around was dead silent. Ace 1's throughs B by 0N. Yet, all around was dead silent. Yet, all around was dead silent. 5 seconds 825 E8 I8. Yet, all around was dead silent. Serate M. Only a mechanical voice sounded. Male lead. Oi Watinia. Male lead. Male lead. Watinia. Worsen. Male lead. Male lead. Eswe Tayea. Male lead. Irisnami. Your next choice will affect the direction of the world line, and the disrupted world line has reconnected. Please make your choice carefully. If you choose the female lead, all characters will develop according to the original plot. You and the female lead will have a happy ending, and the supporting female will get her karmic retribution. If you choose the supporting female, she will be redeemed, but the original female lead will turn evil, becoming the mastermind behind the scenes, hindering your relationship. She will ultimately reap what she sows. Who do you choose? Who do you abandon? Ending on. In a smoke-filled KTV private room, wearing a haute couture suit, I lounged carelessly on the sofa, with my long legs crossed and lazily propped up on the coffee table. My profound side profile faced the slightly ajar door. My deep, pleasant voice carried a careless disdain. Gu Pitaya is just a plaything. At first, seeing her feisty attitude,
I thought it was fresh.
so I decided to mess with her a bit. Who knew she would be so clingy? Once attached, you can't shake her off. Later, since her mom saved my life back then, my parents forced me to devote my life to her. Otherwise, they would revoke my inheritance rights. So I just put up a front and married her, treating her like a shrine to pay respects to. Now, just looking at her fake noble face makes me sick. I do not even want to touch her. I am just waiting to see when she gets the hint. Voluntarily leaves with nothing and gives me my freedom back. A chilling aura seeped in from outside the door, and after a while, slowly drifted away. I sneezed several times in a row, shivering as I told someone to turn up the ace. Gupataya acts as my secretary during the day and works part-time here at night. According to the original plot, she is about to get bullied by some rich playboys. Then I would majestically make my entrance, saving her from peril. As for now, after spouting such hateful and detestable words, I also did not know how the plot would unfold. I hunched over, pressed against the corners of the walls, sneaking behind her. The drunken rich playboy made his entrance. He pointed at Gupataya, demanding she go to the private room to drink with them. Gupataya explained that she was only responsible for cleaning, but his lackeys swarmed up, pushing her into the playboy's arms. The scene was utter chaos. My heart leaped into my throat. Gupataya struggled, but as a weak woman, she was heavily outnumbered. In the end, she was grabbed by the rich playboy. With a ripping sound, Gupataya's shirt was torn in the scuffle. To hell with the plot. I took a step forward, but suddenly heard a familiar voice. Cole Blackberry, what kind of bad things are you up to? The door to a certain private room opened, and Kiwano walked out from inside. The rich playboy's nickname was Cole Blackberry. He was dark, skinny, and short, and his family owned a coal mine. He was Kiwano's and my elementary school classmate. Back in those days, Kiwano was the perennially elected class president. Deeply beloved by the students, she possessed a natural bloodline suppression over poor students. The moment Cole Blackberry heard Kiwano's voice, it was as if dead ancient memories had been resurrected. His cheeky grin vanished. His slouched shoulders instantly squared, and as if in a trance, his back straightened. His hands rested neatly by his sides as if on a desk. Returning right back to the first lesson of the school year, I pulled back my outstretched foot and shrank hard into the corner, quiet as a mouse while watching the show. Kiwano was petite in stature, but her aura was overwhelmingly powerful. Stepping in her high heels, pointing and jabbing her finger, she gave Cole Blackberry and his lackeys a thorough scolding. Cole Blackberry smiled like a complete idiot, practically drooling as he leaned in. Sounds great, Prez. Scold me some more? Kiwano took off her jacket, stood on her tiptoes, and draped it over Gupataya, coaxing her with a tone used for little kids. Do not be afraid. I will take you home. Do not come here to work anymore. And do not be so stubborn. Are not you and Fang Pomelo married?
You two are a family.
Why would you still need to work to pay off debts? Gupataya shook her head and whispered something. I could not hear it, but I knew what she said. She said, I am going to divorce Fang Pomelo. I breathed a huge sigh of relief, slowly sliding down the wall until I plopped onto the floor. It is finally almost over. The system told me that in a romance story, someone must turn evil. Otherwise, the plot can't move forward. Between the female lead and the supporting female, one of them had to go dark. My choice was that. Can't the Owen turning evil be me? I will be evil from head to toe. I will be the most evil person in the world. The system agreed. Independent female leads are trending lately, so as long as you are evil enough, both of them can stay pure. I thought my turning evil would require me to traffic drugs in the Golden Triangle, run telecom scams in Southeast Asia, or smuggle humans and weapons on the dark web. I did not expect that all I had to do was be a scumbag. Even though I'm a fine young man raised under the red flag, the ancient scumbag genes were buried within me. Digging them up a bit, I could still barely manage to act out my true colors. Soliciting prostitutes, hooking up left and right, flirting around, and completely letting myself go. At first, it was indeed enjoyable for a while, but very quickly, I felt spiritually empty. Sometimes waking up in the middle of the night, looking at the woman beside me whose name I could not remember, I would suddenly feel like throwing up. Kiwano was quickly disappointed in me. She deleted all our photos together from elementary school to our study abroad days, and returned everything I ever gave her. The expression on her face was very strange. It was not heartbreak, nor was it pain, only a deep sense of confusion. I do not know why you have become like this, but I know. You are no longer my brother Fang Pomelo.
You are just his shell.
I can't possibly love an empty shell. Goodbye.
Fang Pomelo.
But Gupataya seemed to still carry the inertia of the original plot. She stayed by my side constantly, wanting to move me with her selfless and uncomplaining devotion. Even when returning home late at night, she still cooked for me. She packed homemade meals for me every day. She stayed alone in our empty room until dawn every night. Today, she finally decided to leave me. The independent female-led storyline is initiated. This scumbag version of me can finally sprint ahead towards the ending that belongs to me. Very soon, my company went bankrupt due to poor management. My parents were thoroughly disappointed in me. They decided to start a new account and had a little baby sister. Their family of 3 lived very happily in my absolute poverty and ruin. I painfully realized the ultimate truth of the female-oriented novel universe. The biggest mistake of my life was failing the woman who deeply loved me. I got cancer, struggling and waiting for death in a rented room. Gupataya came to visit me. Her calm eyes and distant posture made it seem as though I were just a stranger before her. I struggled to reach out my hand, wanting to grab the corner of her clothes one more time. But she walked out. Without looking back, I saw someone waiting for her outside. It was Kiwano. My heart, which was joyfully awaiting the plot's end, was violently smashed by a heavy hammer. A genuine sharp pain swept through my entire body. Kiwano stepped forward to greet her. The two kissed in the sunlight, embraced and left. My chest ached agonizingly, as if I had swallowed thousands of needles. I fell off the bed, crawling and dragging myself on the floor. In agonizing convulsions, I finally took my last breath. I closed my eyes. The world went completely dark. The ending too. I called Kiwano and Gupataya over, locked the doors and closed the windows. Acting all mysterious, I held a little meeting. I poured out everything I knew after my awakening. The system had once warned me. The consequences of this choice are uncontrollable. You want to make them awaken as well? I advise you to think twice. You are the soul of the romance novel. You are walking testosterone. You are the embodiment of masculine charm. You are the incarnation of noble elegance. When the author created you, they spent more thought on you than all the female characters combined. Once they awaken, you will lose all your creator's halo. They will see the real you. You are just a pathetic second-generation rich kid and a petty boss, with a head full of nothing but money, money, money. Trembling with fear as you try to keep your father's business from running at a loss. When that time comes, it won't be a question of who you choose, but rather what kind of choice they will make. The atmosphere was stagnant. My heart pounded nervously. Kiwano's little mouth hung open in a big O. Gupataya's brows were tightly furrowed, her face full of suspicion. I sat up straight and pointed at myself. Tell me, what do you see? The two of them looked at me like I was an idiot. I squirmed uneasily in my chair, feeling like a naked buffoon. The look in Gupataya's eyes gradually cleared up, no longer holding her previous tenderness and adoration. I was overjoyed. The system had not lied to me. Gupataya muttered, "How strange. Why on earth did I like you? And liked you so profoundly, losing sleep over you and obsessing over you. Sister, do you even know how to speak politely? Even if I'm not some earth-shattering, richest man alpha CEO who can cause earthquakes with a stomp, and just an ordinary small business owner. At least I do not visit prostitutes or gamble. I respect women, pay my taxes honestly, and treat my employees well. I am still a perfectly fine socialist youth. Am I really that unbearable?" Gupataya apologized embarrassedly. "I'm sorry. Mr. Fang Pomelo, I was not talking about you. I meant myself. I am quite a rational person. I do not really like going crazy over love. The previous me was simply abnormal." Gupataya took her files and left, striding proudly with her head held high. 200. Striding proudly with her head held high. 20. DW20. Her footsteps were light and airy. Her footsteps were light and airy. 20. Her footsteps were light and airy. DW20. As if shedding a heavy burden. Just as I expected. This damn angsty romance did not just torture me. It tortured her as well. Kiwano gave a soft humph. I stood at the doorway, my body stiffened, not daring to look back at her. I was afraid to see in her eyes the same look that Gupataya had. That would tear me apart. For so many years. I have loved her for so many years. The sound of footsteps echoed, slowly approaching behind me. I could smell her scent and hear her heartbeat. What would she say? Goodbye. My palms were sweating, and I subconsciously rubbed them against my pants. There was a silky touch on my neck. It was Kiwano, lightly pinching me with her fingers. Her voice was huffy, carrying a hint of threat.
Fang Pomelo.
"I'm warning you. All the songs I have written recently, forget every single one of them. Forever and ever, and you're not allowed to mention them." I turned around and looked at her innocently. "Have you ever written any songs?" She raised her eyebrows, a half smile playing on her little face, puffing up her cheeks. After a long while, she deflated. "Forget it.
Laugh if you want to."
Writing those songs was not the only stupid thing I did recently anyway. I tentatively reached out my hands to her lower back and gently wrapped my arms around her. Cautiously, I asked with hope, "Kiwano, has the me in your eyes changed at all?" She poked my cheeks all over and muttered, "You used to have no beard. Now you have stubble. You used to have no dark circles. Now you look like a panda. And here, why is there an extra dimple?" I grabbed her fingers and kissed them against my lips. But I am still the same old me. Her little face tilted up, her smile blooming like a night blooming cereus in summer. She took a step back and reached out her hand to me. "Nice to meet you. Hardworking. Society repaying small business owner Fang Pomelo. I used to know a little boy. He was afraid of the dark and loved to cry. His name was also Fang Pomelo. May I ask if you know him? End of the story.